Today we are going to talk about Norwegian Cruise Lines, and I have just a teeny rebuttal to a comment that was left under my video yesterday. We're going to talk about how things are going on the Ruby Princess. I've got the details for you on the changes coming up to the military onboard credit and the shareholder onboard credit. We've also got some weather coming up, and we're going to talk about Norway, our Norway cruise today, because today is the summer solstice. So let's go ahead and get started. Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips, and today is Wednesday. It's June 21st of 2023, and like I said, it is the summer solstice. So we are going to talk about our Norway cruise and why I think you should come with us. So first of all, though, let's go ahead and I have a quick thing that I wanted to say yesterday. Yesterday, I put up a lot of information about Princess Dining and just how things are changing. So first of all, the reason that I do that is because we have Let's Go family members who have cruised lots of times since COVID, and some that are just barely coming back to cruising. And I would like to temper everyone's expectations. I am grateful that I get to go on a cruise. The food is fine with me. I do know the difference between absolutely delicious food and food that is fine. But at the same time, I'm just happy to be on the cruise ship. But I do want everyone to realize that there are changes that have occurred since COVID. How cruising the food was, very particularly, and some other changes that have happened as a result of COVID, the economy, all of these things coming into play, so that when you go, you're not disappointed, but you just have an idea of what it's going to be like. So that's why I do that. First of all, one of the comments yesterday said that a nice gentleman commented and said that he wished that all these vloggers would quit shielding the cruise lines. I'm not shielding the cruise line. I don't work for a cruise line. I don't get anything from a cruise line. The only time I have ever gotten anything from a cruise line was a complaint when they didn't like what I said. All right, that is it. I don't think really people know I exist, okay? So don't be thinking something that's not there. But I think that a very important thing to keep in mind when you watch people like me, other cruise vloggers, we are people who love to cruise. We really enjoy it. So we can see what the bad is, or the things that are not optimal, but we're always going to look for what's good and for why we still are happy to go. Be aware of that. We are not someone that's looking for what's wrong to determine we're not going again. Nope, absolutely not. And I have a fun case in point for you, and then we're going to go back to the casino onboard credit thing. So yes, you might have noticed, I think it was 2 days ago, earlier this week, I talked about Norwegian and how they're getting rid of their entertainment. I noticed Don from Don's Family Vacations, Don Terrace, talked about it as well. And then the next day, he really talked about it. He really lit into Norwegian Cruise Lines and said, what are you doing with this entertainment? You say you've got a plan. You're taking all of this entertainment off these ships starting within 2 weeks, but we're not hearing a peep about what's coming. And so he really let them have it. And I want to add my 2 cents to that. Norwegian Cruise Line has canceled more cruises, I will submit, in the last year than all of the other cruise lines combined. They just canceled a whole bunch of sailings on the Norwegian Spirit that I even had a family member booked on. They were so excited about this cruise. I think that sometimes cruise lines have to cancel cruises because of unexpected events. At the same time, I think that they need to be a little bit more careful when they are canceling wide swaths of cruises that they just barely were selling for a lot of money. When people book a cruise, they get really excited for it. They start planning for it. Just all of this goes into it. And often they pick a destination that is really special that they've been wanting to go, especially when it's a celebration cruise for an anniversary or to mark some special event in their life. So I don't think the cruise line should take it lightly when they cancel a cruise. And with the number of cruises that Norwegian has been canceling, I just don't know how much thought is put into it in advance. And how much really they should maybe plan a little bit more in advance what they're doing with their fleet. That's one thing. And that's just me from the sidelines. Okay. The other thing is Norwegian has just barely announced that they are taking the port stop of Valdez up there in Alaska off of their Alaska sailings for this year. And they're not just taking it off of one, they're taking it off the rest of them. And so to me, that is a big deal. The city of Valdez even, they released a statement. It's not on their part. They didn't say that Norwegian couldn't come. Norwegian has just literally taken away those port stops, that port stop off of their cruises for this year. Now, if I was someone, and Valdez is somewhere I would really like to go. So if I booked a cruise thinking that I was getting to go to Valdez, I would be really upset. I would be really sad. I would still go on that cruise. I would still have a great time, but I wouldn't be as pleased about it because they're taking off a port stop. And so I hope that when they make these changes, which I believe are probably economically driven, I hope that they will maybe have a second thought and be a little bit more cautious when they're taking off their port stops. So that's what I have to say about Norwegian today. We've been on the Norwegian Encore, the Norwegian Breakaway. We enjoyed both cruises. If I have X number of dollars and I have only the number of vacation days in a year that Gordon has off, I would probably, definitely, I would cruise on Princess or Holland America or Celebrity first. But I very much enjoyed, there's nothing wrong with Norwegian. We really enjoyed our cruises there. We have been hearing that there are going to be big changes, and I think it's big, to how passengers can use their military onboard credit and their shareholder onboard credit. So if you're not familiar with that, Princess has an amazing program that if you have your DD-214, if you're a veteran or an active duty military person, you can go ahead, submit that information, and whenever you go on a cruise, they're going to give you some onboard credit. If it's a 7-day cruise, it's $100. I believe when it's a 14-day cruise, I think the 14 days is when it goes to $250 of onboard credit. Historically, that onboard credit has been refundable, and starting on June 29th, that onboard credit is no longer going to be refundable. That means that you can use it for whatever you want on the cruise ship, but at the end of the cruise, if you have some of that left, they are not going to mail you a check for it. So I would say just use it up. There's lots of things to use onboard credit for on the ship. You can, of course, use it on drinks. You can use it in the gift shops. You can use it at the spa. You can use it in the casino. You can use it on lots of different things. They've got so many things offered that I think there's plenty to spend the money on. So enjoy that however you would. I know that there are some people that will feel like they don't need to get the plus package then because they can pay for their gratuities, especially if they're elite and then their Wi-Fi is $7.50 and they can buy the number of drinks they want with that much money. It just depends on what you spend your money on, what you drink, and all of these things, but that's a really good way to use it as well. So that is a change with that. Now, the shareholder onboard credit has always been non-refundable, so that's not a big change. But starting with June 29th, you are not going to be able to have both. So if you are a veteran and you own Carnival Corporation stock, you are not going to be able to claim both the military onboard credit and the shareholder onboard credit. Now, I have read through everything that I can find about this, and I cannot find where it talks about if like one person in the cabin has the military onboard credit and the other person has the shareholder onboard credit, if you can claim them both. I don't know. So will you please let us know, any of those that are in that situation? Let us know if it works so that people know going forward whether or not they should be using their time to submit that shareholder statement. Now, if you do the military onboard credit, once you submit that DD-214, every time you go on a Princess cruise, once you book one, that should automatically show up. So that is really the easiest. If you're only going to get one of them, it automatically will show up on your account. Definitely double check it, make sure that it's there. But to get that shareholder onboard credit, you have to submit your shareholder, like your stock statement and the information for your cruise. So it's just easier to get the one that comes automatically. But like I said, if one of you is a veteran and the other one of you owns the stock, let us know if you're able to both get them in the same cabin. Alrighty, and I do have videos about how to do the shareholder credit and how to do that military credit, and I'll have Gordon link those in the description box below so that you can watch those if that's helpful. I always appreciate it. I've received several really nice emails from people that didn't know that you could do that, and so I hope that you're all taking an advantage of that you can. The stock price with Carnival Corp is going up, so that's a good sign. The lowest that it ever got that I think we bought more at was around, gosh, I want to say $6 or $7. It was really low because when we bought our first stock in like 2015, 2016, somewhere around there. It was like in the $40 something range. And so it's on its way back up again. And I really do think that the future is very bright for all of the cruise line stocks because the demand is so strong for cruising and things are looking up. So that's a happy thing. Now we've got weather again. If you don't know this, the official dates for the hurricane season generally there in the region that's like the Caribbean and everything is generally from May 1st through November 30th. That's the official hurricane season, and we are already seeing some rough weather there. So I just thought I would bring it up in case any of you will be traveling there soon or planning to go on a cruise. They've got Tropical Storm Brett, and they have issued a warning as that storm draws closer and closer there to the Caribbean islands. They do talk about, though, initially the reports I had seen, they expected it to become a hurricane, and now they are hoping it just stays a tropical storm so that it's not so harsh there on those islands. But I do want to let you know, if you're going on a cruise, I wouldn't panic at all because they are really careful, the cruise lines. They're very careful. They want to keep their passengers and their crew safe, and also remember that a cruise ship is a huge investment. They're going to take really good care of their cruise ships as well. So they will do anything that they need to do to divert, to go around a storm, to not be in the path of the storm. Now, every once in a while, of course, you get some rough seas. But I wouldn't worry about it. That happens so rarely that I wouldn't be worried about that. But do be aware that some weather might impact some cruises there coming up. Now we have a Let's Go family member who was just on the Ruby Princess on an amazing sailing that went from San Francisco up to Alaska and back. And she provided us with some really helpful information that I thought I would pass along to you, especially if you're going to be sailing on the Ruby Princess, to know a little bit what to expect, and especially out of San Francisco. Now, we have been receiving word that passengers who go to San Francisco, some of them are still receiving, if they've got that Princess transfer, they are receiving a voucher for the taxi to go to the Princess Hotel, and then the next morning they take another voucher to get from there to the cruise port. So that seems to be really backing up traffic. This Let's Go family member said that their hotel that they stayed at was a mile from the hotel to the ship, to right where you check in there at the cruise terminal, and it took them 50 minutes to make that distance, and with the taxi, and they said that it was really, really, really trafficy, clearly. And so when you are there in San Francisco, even if your hotel is right close there to the cruise port or you're coming in from further afield, make sure that you allow more than extra time so that you can be on time for your embarkation time, get on the ship and start enjoying your cruise. Another, I am hearing from a lot of people that the Ruby Princess could use some love, especially lately. I have heard that. She agreed. She said that the whole ship could use a little bit of love, but she was a little bit taken aback by the tables and chairs in the buffet. She said they just look old and worn out. And so when you go on the Ruby Princess in the next little bit, keep that in mind. And just know that's how things are. Hopefully they'll be able to replace that furniture sooner than later. They did sail on a full cruise, so there were 3,100 passengers on board. She said the food was average, and the dining room experiences some nights was good, and some nights it was just okay. But they were happy to be there. They had a wonderful cruise, and I appreciate her sharing that with us. So if any of you have any... Oh, and the last thing, the Ruby Princess, as of last week, did not have... Starlink yet. If they did have Starlink, it must have been not working because she said the internet was incredibly slow for their whole sailing. So hopefully the Ruby Princess will be one of those ships. We heard a couple of weeks ago that 12 of 15 Princess ships have the Starlink, so hopefully those other 3 will get it really fast. Another update. Okay, so those are all of our updates today. So right now, I just have been thinking an awful lot about our Norway cruise. Now, if you follow along here with Gordon and I, we are going to go on the Island Princess sailing on July 12th, and we are going to go on a cruise that has 4 stops in Iceland, 2 in Scotland, and 2 in Norway. And it's a 2-week, it's 14 days. And that is, we booked it just because we really wanted to go somewhere. And Gordon has wanted to go to Iceland. I've wanted to go to Iceland, but he's really wanted to go to Iceland. So we chose that one, and we're going to go on that. So if we see you there, it'll be nice to see you. But sailing October 4th for 14 days, we're going on the In Search of the Northern Lights cruise. And I thought it would be really fun to remind you of that today and to talk to you a little bit about what what I am really excited about. So if you can come with us, I know you want to come, so come with us. But it's one of those amazing adventures that's going to be once in our lifetime. And to go see the Northern Lights. And let me tell you some things I think about when I think about, and then I'm going to tell you the itinerary really quick. One thing that is really special about this cruise, and it is called In Search of the Northern Lights, is that we get to go clear up into the Arctic Circle to see the Northern Lights. And we are going to be there long enough that we're going to go, Gordon and I just barely booked a second excursion to go try to see the Northern Lights a second time. Because I figured if one time we go, if it's overcast and it's bad weather, then we're going to wish we had gone again. So to me, well, I know it is a really different experience to see the Northern Lights up in the Arctic Circle than seeing them down lower. Of course, it's fantastic when you get to see them down lower. And this year, this last winter, we have heard of the Northern Lights being seen from much lower latitudes than they used to, than historically they have been seen. My dear friend in Indiana saw them from where I grew up there. People in Michigan have seen them. People in Alaska on ships have seen them. But to see them up in the Arctic Circle is a much different experience. And to me, it's such a cool phenomenon because what happens is you have the sun, and this is just, very much simplified. It emits these particles. And then as it comes, these particles come into the atmosphere. As it reacts with the atmosphere, it releases energy. And so the lights that you see is based on the wavelength of the energy that those particles emit from the sun. Like, how cool is that? To me, it is really one of the wonders of the universe. And so as we go on this voyage, we are going to leave Southampton. It's a round trip out of Southampton. And let me tell you, so we are going to stop in Stavanger, Norway, which is beautiful. We've been there before. And then you're going to have a couple of more days up to Tromsø. Once you hit Tromsø, then the next day, so in Tromsø, we're there from 9 in the morning until midnight. And that very next morning at 11 o'clock in the morning, we arrive in Alta, Norway. And then we get to be there overnight, clear until 11 p.m. the next night. So what Gordon and I are going to do is we're going to go on, there's 2 different excursions that they have, that they take you out where it's dark, away from everything, and they have it set up so that you can see the Northern Lights there, expecting that they come. So one of them has a place that one of them has that you can go inside, that you can have a place to get warm when you want to get warm. It's a little bit different setup. The other one, it sounds to me like you are out there viewing. They've got tripods for you to put your camera on. They'll help you, like if you want to take pictures with your camera or your phone. Anyway, both of them sound remarkable. So we booked one for one night and the other for the other night. And the one that when the ship leaves at 11 p.m., we'll be back to the ship in time to get on. So it is going to be an amazing experience to us. I just really can't wait. And one of the things that sets these itineraries aside is I know it has a lot of sea days, but a lot of it is because we have to go clear up into the Arctic Circle. There are a lot of Norwegian voyages that you can go on that have more ports down lower. And that's amazing. Yeah, go on those too. But the reason that ours has more sea days is because you go clear up into the Arctic Circle, and I love that you get to stay there for so long. We're going to stay there for like 36 hours. So it gives us plenty of time to see everything in that region and 2 nights to be able to see the Northern Lights. So I just wanted to remind you, and this is my Norway sweater that I got there last time. Thought I would wear that today. We're going to have, Gordon and I always celebrate the summer solstice. I thought this would be a fun way to do it here on our channel, to tell you all about it and remind you that there are still, I just looked, there are still some balcony cabins left. There are still some of the other cabins left here and there on the ship. So you should come. You should come. Just wanted to remind you of that. And then I know that everybody is really busy, and I know that it costs money. But if there is any way you can swing it, you should come. So wanted to bring you up to date on that. If you've got questions about anything else, definitely put them in the comments below. And I want you to know how much I appreciate all of you. I love all your comments yesterday. And honestly, I was not expecting so much passion And one of the comments about dining got like lots of comments and people talking about it back and forth. But I do want to remind everyone that, you know, we all go on these cruises and we have these different experiences. And so when you read someone's comment and it was different than what you expected, remember that things are different for everyone on board. And sometimes you'll get someone who happens to be the maitre d' at the door when you enter, and they're happy to give you the same table every evening. And someone else can ask later, the same person, and if things have perhaps changed, or it's another person right at the door and you're not given what the other person is given. And so I guess my best reminder is to remember that everybody's experiences are different and to appreciate that about each other. I think it's really important to share what our experiences are so that we know how to handle things when we're on a cruise, maybe what it's okay to ask for, and to keep asking if you don't get the answer you want. And sometimes it's just not going to happen. But I really, truly, with Princess, I honestly do hope that they bring back a dining room that has traditional dining. There are enough people who want traditional dining, and it would be wonderful for them to be able to experience that on a Princess ship again. It'll be interesting to me to see if that's an option on the Sun Princess. With the demand that they have for traditional dining, I don't know why they don't do that, because on all of the cruise ships, the Princess ships, there's always at least 2 main dining rooms, and the bigger ones have 3. And so you could accommodate the people who want to dine anytime that they want to, along with the people who want to do traditional dining. And if one evening you don't have enough people wanting to do traditional dining, see some of the people who want to do anytime dining in there as well and feed them that way. To me, there's just so many options. So let me know some of your ideas down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. We'd love to have you with us. And if you appreciate these updates, please give this video a thumbs up. And I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.